This is Toon Talk Weekly, episode 233. This week, Brad and I dive into another Christmas classic for the holiday season when we watch A Charlie Brown Christmas.
Maybe you have thalassophobia. This is fear of the ocean. Or Jepherophobia, which is the fear of crossing bridges. Or maybe you have pantophobia. Do you think you have pantophobia? What's pantophobia? The fear of everything. That's it! Actually, Lucy, my trouble is Christmas. I just don't understand it. Instead of feeling happy, I feel sort of let down. You need involvement. You need to get involved in some real Christmas project. How would you like to be the director of our Christmas play? Me? You want me to be the director of the Christmas play? Fire on!
The day just keeps getting better.
Boy. Where is that kid?
Hey everybody, it's Tuesday once again. That means it's time for another episode of the weekly cartoon podcast, Toon Talk Weekly. That's of course this show. Thanks for joining us once again to talk cartoons this week. I'm Jake Williams. I brought along my good buddy once again to chat cartoons, Brad Chmielewski. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Hey man, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you. It's Christmas time around here.
Yeah, no. With that, we always have to do holiday-themed cartoons, right?
Yeah,
there are so many.
There are a ton. I was thinking back. I know the very first year we did this show, we did like 3 different Disney specials. We did like a Goofy one where he skis. We did the Donald Duck snowball fight.
Uh-huh.
But then I was trying to think. I was like, what other Christmas ones did we do?
We did the Garfield Christmas.
Oh, that's right. But I guess this would be year 4. So either we didn't do one last year, or I'm just totally not remembering what it was.
We must have. We did one.
You know, did we do like one of the Year Without a Santa Claus or like Rudolph, or we might have done Rudolph actually.
Oh yeah, I think we did Rudolph.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to remember all of them, but so this show should be hitting your feeds if you guys are actually checking for podcasts around the holidays the day after Christmas. Maybe I'll just post it on Christmas Day anyway. Like I don't know, people need stuff to listen to on their new phones and tablets and stuff.
Right.
And Toon Talk Weekly should be in your ears at Christmas time, I think. So thanks for joining us. Hope everyone's having a great holiday season. This week we're going to talk about another classic, A Charlie Brown Christmas, which I thought we did, but we actually did the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. We did the Halloween one.
Mm-hmm. That's probably the classicest of them all, really. Maybe more than Rudolph.
Yeah, it's up there, man. It's one of those ones that I feel like it's just pretty universal because as cool as the stop motion ones, holiday classics are, they can be a little bit like, I don't want to say jarring, but like I feel like kids could be scared of those a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. And this has, the Charlie Brown Christmas tree that has penetrated culture.
Which is very ironic, right? Because the whole thing is about like commercialism and Christmas is bad, and now his like tree is like a commercial item you can actually get by.
Right, yeah.
It's kind of a strange thing, but so at this point, I think if you're probably our age or even older, or you have kids now, you're showing them or have seen the Charlie Brown Christmas special a ton of times. I think now every year ABC has the rights now, and they re-air it at least 2 times, like during the Christmas season.
Yeah.
So you're bound to see it. It's definitely, I think some of these things have kind of, I don't want to say lost their specialness over the years because you can just get to them whenever you want now. But back then, my parents just had VHS tapes that they would record on, and whenever it was on, and then you'd also get to watch like the Cabbage Patch Kids or like the milk commercials, like in between.
Right, yeah.
So those were pretty fun. But Charlie Brown Christmas, a 1965 animated TV special, is actually based on the comic strip Peanuts by Charles M. Schulz, of course, famous for making these characters and then making a few specials after.
Did you watch the new 3D Peanuts movie?
No, I didn't.
Out? I watched it on the plane recently because, I had a lot of time flying across the world. And I watched the Peanuts movie. And the style is really cool because it matches the style of the 2D here really well. Mm-hmm. But it's all 3D. It has a really nice look. And I think it gives Charlie Brown a little more character and everyone else in the world just a little more character that you feel a little differently about them, I think, after you watch like a full-length movie with them.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's got that like 3D painterly like clay looking style, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked really rad. I should watch it.
Because most of the time Charlie Brown comes off as a buffoon, and they kind of treat him as a buffoon. But then if you watch like a movie like that, you kind of realize like, man, he's really just maybe just super shy and doesn't know how to fit in. Like he's, he'd be like like the goth kid or the punk rock kid in school. But in, 60s, he was just like, oh, why are you so shy? Like,
yeah, he's socially awkward, really.
Yeah, he'd be on the internet. Like he'd be on the internet doing things now versus
right. He would never go out to kick that football. Yeah, I was thinking, man, watching this special, the kids are like, first of all, he's super depressed, and secondly, the kids are super mean to him. Yeah. And then, but he's also like, he tries to say sarcasm and the kids don't get it. Like he's definitely like a closet kid that like doesn't get out much or doesn't know how to interact in these social situations.
Right.
The series also, or not the series, the special rather, is produced by Lee Mendelson and directed by Bill Melendez, and the program made its debut December 9th, 1965, so way before, like 20 years before I was around, so it's definitely old. So I guess by the mid-1960s, this is all stuff I pulled kind of on the background of it, Peanuts was a pretty big phenomenon. Like it was a very popular comic strip. And so the special was commissioned and sponsored by the Coca-Cola Company, and it was written over a period of several weeks and then animated on a shoestring budget in 6 months. Kind of crazy.
Man, I wish we had 6 months to animate some stuff.
Like I could see that, but I also know that they had to do this traditionally, and the tools maybe weren't there to make stuff more efficient. So I can appreciate 6 months to get this done. And I guess it was actually completed just 10 days shy of its actual national broadcast premiere. So
wow. It's kind of interesting that Coca-Cola would sponsor this or like pay to have it done, and yet it's about corporate Christmas being too corporate, and then there's there's not even like a little hint of Coca-Cola in this at all. Like even I'm surprised, like, there's the scene where they're throwing snowballs at a can, or sometimes surprised they didn't.
Oh, that it was a Coke can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think I brought this up to my wife when I was watching it, because she saw I was watching it and sat down and watched a little bit too. It's it's just one of those classics you remember as a kid. And I was like, oh, this was sponsored by Coke. Can you like believe that? If it was made today, it would just be like a bus would drive by, like the Coca-Cola bus with like a big bottle on it or something. Like I feel like it'd be way, way worse.
Yeah, I guess maybe, a lot of time now it's like that, but maybe it's the idea of like using your money for goodwill is like,
yes.
Now we're talking about Coca-Cola, and it actually maybe has paid off for them, because people are like, did you know this was sponsored by Coca-Cola? Oh, I didn't. I could go for a Coke.
And this is back when, maybe I don't pay attention to commercial stuff as much, but when like there'd be an interstitial before the commercials that would say like, this program brought to you by Coca-Cola or something, and that stuff wasn't so obscene or like wasn't so in your face, and it was kind of better, I think. Yeah, now they would try to get their brand just in your face in the show.
Yeah, so this probably aired with brought to you by Coke.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess the general like story of it, I'm not going to necessarily give like an overview, because we're going to kind of walk through it. But it's kind of become like a pretty classic Christmas tale at this point. Anytime I find myself feeling maybe some years you're just not really in the Christmas spirit. For instance, this year we're going on a trip home. We're going to be gone for a while. We don't even have a tree this year. So like Christmas feels kind of weird. It's like, when especially as you start growing up, you got split families in different parts of the country. You're kind of going all over the place. And sometimes you're having Christmas 1 or 2 Christmases before the actual day. So the day almost like loses its meaning. And sometimes I think about this special when you get wrapped up in like gift buying or planning these events or whatever. This special is like a good reminder of maybe kind of what Christmas can be about.
Yeah, that's true. I wonder, do you think maybe when it was coming out, it works so well because, one, they're kids, but the generation that would have been watching this, they're like, it would be our parents would be kids watching this, but then their grandparents probably were starting to, or our grandparents were starting to feel yeah, all our kids care about is stuff. Look at these kids. That's all they care about too. Back in my day, we used to, hang out with family and kind of stuff like that. So I feel like that's how it, I guess, connects with two generations at the same time, no matter when it's on. Because, if we had kids or maybe our parents are feeling the same way about this, but we're like, I just kind of want stuff and celebrate Christmas. Da-da-da.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I think it's like a good reminder and it's sort of interesting how they even handle it in the show with the fact that everybody's kids, and it's kids realizing like maybe what the true meaning of Christmas is, or how you should spend it around the people that you know and appreciate and love. So of course it's going to feature your favorite Peanuts characters: Charlie Brown, Linus, Lucy, Pigpen, Sally, Snoopy, Woodstock, like the whole gang's here. And I think another thing that I loved about this special is that the music has now become. It is so classic Christmas that it's even just on the radio, on Christmas radio. Like it's another song, and it's fun to think that it was from an animated Christmas special, like just the Charlie Brown kind of Christmas theme. But we start the episode with the Christmas time is here, like perfect song of everybody skating around. I think this might have been the first time that I've watched this back, dude, as an animator, like in a way where I was like, oh, look at all like the loops they had to do of these characters, both skating. Later in the episode, they have to dance.
Right.
There's some interesting stuff. And knowing that they, by the way, I recommend anybody go read. I gave a little backstory on how it got produced and stuff like that. But dive into like the Wikipedia article or a handful of other articles about the production of this thing. Like people thought, the guys making it thought that it wasn't going to be anything. A handful of others thought it was like the best thing they've ever animated, and I think now knowing that this like is in hearts and minds of people, like a very famous Christmas thing, it's got to feel real good that you helped make it. Right. So we start off, all the kids are skating, kind of enjoying the wintertime season. I love the snowflakes in this for some reason, just like the way that they fall is like so perfect, and they actually like disappear. And all this had to be done by hand, man. There was no particle like plugins to help you make that stuff. And you get them enjoying some classic Christmas activities or wintertime activities, right? So they're ice skating. At one point, Snoopy like overtakes everybody and does this great, like, what do you want to call it? Like conga line almost of like everybody ice skating. And the animation is just so fluid. Like seeing how cool this is to see everybody like whipping it around like a snake is a lot of fun. I'm not going to say it's perfect. Like, of course, when you have 6 months, like it's pretty tough. Some of the cuts are a little bit rough, but there's something endearing about the way that this piece moves, I think.
But the style of the characters, one being comic strips, they allow for that, I guess, mistakes, and you kind of are like, oh yeah, I'm fine with that. These characters, they look like they were just quickly drawn.
Yep.
No matter if you spent time animating them or not, they're still just comic strip people.
Right, yeah, exactly. I think the simplicity goes a long way, I think, in the special. You get Charlie Brown checking his mailbox. He doesn't get any Christmas cards, and he's obviously upset. Runs into another girl, and this is where I mentioned the sarcasm earlier, where he just straight up says, like, oh, thanks for your Christmas card. And she's like, I didn't send you one. Like, he's all mad that he didn't even get one, but he was trying to be sarcastic.
Which is weird. He's like a kid who is sending a kid Christmas cards.
Yeah, it's not Valentine's Day where you got to, like, bring them to school.
Right.
Or anything like that.
I probably what's Charlie Brown supposed to be, like 10 or something?
Yeah, so
like I probably didn't know my friends' addresses. I knew where they lived, but I didn't know their address.
Right. We get some other wintertime activities. Brad mentioned earlier they're throwing snowballs at a can just to try to knock it down. They're catching snowflakes on their tongue. And then you get one of the famous scenes from any of the Peanuts lore that you've known, where Lucy is taking psychiatric advice, or will give advice to people who pay her a nickel. I love that this is like where Charlie Brown has to pay to talk about how he's depressed, but she's more obsessed with the fact that she has a clanking nickel in a jar. And I feel like this is like what I think of whenever I think of like anytime I would do a coffee can with like a coin slit in it or something like that to like collect money at school or something like that.
Yeah.
She goes through all these phobias that you might be worried about, and eventually I think the last one was pantophobia, the fear of everything, and that's where Charlie Brown yells, "That's it!" And he must have that. So what we get is the setup that Charlie Brown is just not in the Christmas spirit. Everyone seems to be enjoying their wintertime activities. And it kind of goes back to him potentially being this like kind of socially awkward guy where, man, I know I should be into this and everyone else is, but I'm just really not feeling it this year.
But again, me going back to like relating, like this relates to everyone at every moment, right?
Yeah.
Like I think even if you were like into Christmas, if I was wearing a Santa hat right now and I had a green screen of snow, I'd still be like, man, I'm just not like in the Christmas spirit. Like I think everyone feels like they should feel differently about something all the time, right? That's a weird problem.
Right, like if you're not exactly in the moment that you believe you should be, everything is wrong somehow.
Yeah.
We do follow Charlie Brown here as he sees Snoopy getting ready for a lights and display contest. He's totally tricking out his doghouse. He's upset that his dog is given away to commercialism of Christmas here. Then he runs into his sister Sally, who says, will you help me? Will you basically ghostwrite this letter to Santa for me? She asks for all kinds of things, but then also says, well, just give me money. I need what's coming to me. Like, I need what I deserve. There's an adult level of the humor that I'm noticing here for the first time that I've ever actually watched this. That's pretty great. We do get the bulk of what the episode is going to end up being about. The situation here is when Charlie Brown is recommended, I think, by Lucy earlier at the psychiatric help, right? Where she's like, you know what? You should help us direct our school play. And so lots of the rest of the special are spent at the school with all the students either dancing while the guy's playing piano. And there's famous dances, I think, out of this stuff where they're like bobbing in like particularly looped ways. I think I've seen like Cartoon Network commercials or something where they've like used these loops just to sell it coming up, right? And Charlie Brown's going to be the director here. So we start, he's like, I don't know, man. Everyone's so mean to Charlie Brown. In this case, he starts giving this long list of like, here's what great performances are. They're listening to the director. It's the bond you have with him. If I do this, you do that. If I say point this way, do stage left. This means cut the scene. And everyone's just dancing and nobody's actually listening.
Well, I'm sure the Lucy telling him to be director was a passive aggressive way to be like, we don't want you in our play, Charlie Brown. You're going to ruin it.
It's one of those, like, we need to give him a job, but we kind of already know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
You can raise the curtain.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just make sure you can take tickets. Hand out programs. Yeah.
I'll keep my directions simple. If I point to the right, it means focus, attention, stage right. If I make a slashing motion across my throat, it means cut the scene short. If I make a revolving motion with my hand, it means pick up the tempo. If I spread my hands apart, it means slow down. It's the spirit of the actors that count. The interest that they show in their director. Am I right? I said, am I right?
Everyone starts getting their parts. There's like Pigpen has to be with one of the girls. Like he's the innkeeper, she's the innkeeper's wife, and she's super upset because he's just dirty all the time, and it's ruining her curly hair. There's just all these like great little behind the scenes things. And it's not until Charlie Brown starts realizing like nobody is listening to me. Like I'm trying to help here. I'm trying to run the show, not in like a mean way. But Lucy gives him the idea. It's like, you know what? Maybe everyone just needs to practice. We need to be more in the spirit. Your new task, Charlie Brown, go get us a Christmas tree, like a big, bright, shiny tree that can bring everyone together for this play. And this is kind of where the famous tree comes from, right?
Mm-hmm. There's so many like good-looking trees in this tree lot, and he ends up picking this, I guess, wretched-looking tree because I think he sees himself in this tree, right? The outcast, the one that no one wanted. So that's the one he goes with.
I think the other thing was that Linus at one point, when they're shopping, knocks on one of the trees and it's like metal. And I think it was another idea that like so much of this is overly commercialized. And so they stumble upon this tree and Linus says something like, do they even make wood trees anymore?
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I agree that like Charlie Brown's like, well, this is as good as I am. I guess this tree's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Gee, do they still make wooden Christmas trees? This little green one here seems to need a home.
I don't know, Charlie Brown. Remember what Lucy said? This doesn't seem to fit the modern spirit.
I don't care. We'll decorate it, and it'll be just right for our play. Besides, I think it needs me.
So they take the... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, you knew this wasn't going to go over well.
Yeah.
Even if you had never seen this before or watching it for the first time, you're like, nobody wants, like, this, I guess, the ugly or the tiny version when you could buy this bright and shiny thing.
Right. We do get one of my favorite scenes that I always come back to is Schroeder playing the piano, playing Jingle Bells in these amazing, fantastic, talented ways, but Lucy only wants to hear the, like, dink, 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 dink version, which is, like, way worse. That's pretty great. But Charlie Brown does come back. He comes back with this tree, and boy, does he get berated when he, like, puts this down. And to the point where even his dog, everyone is just laughing Charlie Brown off the stage, just wants him gone. And this is where Linus gets the slow scene where he says, like, I don't know what Christmas is about anymore. Like, I'm not sure really what's going on here. Linus gets a spotlight. It describes to everybody the story of basically the birth of Jesus and why we celebrate Christmas and kind of what that meant, right? So religious or not, sort of brings this tone to the piece that is like, it's not about the commercialism. It's not about buying things or any of that stuff. It's literally about being with your friends and family and like celebrating the love for each other.
For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign unto you. You shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly host praising God, and saying, Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men.
Charlie Brown, dejected, heads off. He takes his tree with him, looks up in the stars and thinks of what Linus has just said. He does borrow one bulb from the first place winning doghouse competition, or the lights competition that Snoopy had. I love that he puts the bulb on the thing and it bends over and he says, I've killed it. I've killed Christmas. Everything I touched is destroyed. And I think you can literally buy that tree now. I think
Right, with the drooping one bulb, and yeah.
So, hey, it's turned into a commercial thing.
I think our buddy Stark might even have that tree.
Yeah. And then they wrap up the episode by realizing, like, maybe it's not such a bad tree after all. It just needed a little love. Linus wraps his blanket around it. All of the other kids kind of grab Snoopy's other ornaments and decorations and put it all over it. And they start singing for the remainder of the episode. Charlie Brown comes back and realizes that, you know, maybe we are in the Christmas spirit right now. We've all worked together. We all love one another. And it has a very happy ending and a happy song while the credits kind of roll. So, yeah, man, Charlie Brown Christmas. Like, I feel like sometimes I don't even have to watch this to remember what happened. It's so just ingrained in my mind as one of my favorite Christmas specials of all time.
Yeah. It's good because also The Great Pumpkin kind of sucks.
What? I love that one. I know you never see The Great Pumpkin, but yeah.
It's just that one. The Great Pumpkin feels like, hey, we had to capitalize on the success of Charlie Brown's Christmas. Let's make something up here.
Oh man, that's how I feel about the Thanksgiving one.
Oh, I don't even remember that one.
There's that one, then there's also a Mayflower one. Yeah, there's
a lot of them. Yeah.
So what was it like revisiting this, man? Is this one of the ones you like to come back to every year?
It's fine. I feel like I've seen it so many times, even when we're just playing the Christmas radio station, either at home or at work, and the Peanuts song comes on. You instantly see the images, you picture them short, and it just all comes back to you. So it's just something that like exists with Christmas, and it's funny that we talk about how this was about commercialism, and this is now a piece of Christmas capitalism. Like, this gets played, this makes you think of Christmas. Without this, it's not Christmas for a lot of people, and it's like, that is the exact opposite of what this is trying to do.
Yeah.
You don't need this stuff.
Dude, I totally feel that, because it's one of those things where I feel like older animation took, not older guys, but just, previous animation versus modern stuff, took more jabs at things than they do today. Like
Yeah.
they just knew what the system was doing and what it was all about, and they would actually put it in their animation whether people got it or not. And I think it's very apparent now when we actually see it. So definitely an interesting one to revisit. I'm happy that I got to see it again this year. But again, I hear it on the radio all the time, so it's like those scenes are ingrained in me. Them ice skating around the rink, them throwing snowballs at the can, them dancing on the stage, that kind of stuff. It's classic.
And if you're a Peanuts fan, like I would say, go watch the 3D movie. It's not great, but from an animation standpoint and the story and the style that they're showing there, it's pretty nice. But the overall movie itself is not good, and it didn't need to be a full-length movie.
Just like the story wasn't great.
Yeah, it was, it'd be fine in 30 minutes. But the look was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, then we can. Brad sort of half recommends you go see that.
if you're an animation fan, if you're I guess a cartoon fan, or just a viewer, want to be entertained, that might not be the movie to watch. But
yeah. Cool. Well, hope you guys enjoyed our discussion on Charlie Brown Christmas, another Christmas classic. Let's get out of here so you can enjoy the rest of your holiday and not listen to us drone on for the rest of it. But Brad, where can people find out more about you when you're not recording Toon Talk Weekly?
You can follow me on Twitter. It's @brad, and then my blog is digitalhitchhiker.com.
Guys, go check them out over there. You can follow me on Twitter @Jacob Williams. And of course, Toon Talk Weekly is all over the place. We're on Twitter @Toon Talk Weekly, Facebook.com/Toon Talk Weekly. Over on Google Plus is Toon Talk Weekly as well. Head on over to our YouTube channel, which we do not have a quick link for you, but if you're checking any of the posts, you can hit that subscribe button, help us get that URL so I can guide you there a lot easier. Our email, toontalkweekly@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts on any episodes of stuff you'd like us to check out, as well as maybe what are some of your favorite Christmas specials. I'd love to hear about those, because I'm sure there's a lot of them that are pretty similar. There's like a pantheon of 8 or 10 of them that are pretty popular, but I'm sure there's some obscure ones or even episodes, Christmas episodes of other shows that are great, right? And finally, toontalkweekly.com, the main hub for the show. It's got all the episodes up to this point. So if you want more Christmas Toon Talk Weekly, you can check out the last 3 years of episodes we've done too on Rudolph, the Disney specials, and Garfield. Yeah, Garfield is great. I haven't watched that this year. I gotta wait. I'll go home and watch it with my sister. There's all kinds of them that I remember watching with my sister when we were kids. So,
but how many times have you watched Jingle All the Way?
This year, only once so far. It's a low number for me, man. But hey, maybe by the time the next episode comes out, I will have seen it 5 more times.
Or Pete's Christmas.
Yeah, 0 times. I don't need to see that ever again. So that's going to do it for this week's episode. Next week's episode is a show, I believe it's from the 80s. It's kind of a strange one. I just saw it, and it looks like not great. So we'll see how it goes. It's a show called Pocket Dragon Adventures. So we'll have to check that out.
Not related to Pokemon, I assume?
No, but it's these miniature dragons, and they all have different traits and spells and stuff. I don't know. The fantasy part looked interesting, but the fact that it went directly into syndication makes me think it's a throwaway. But I'm not sure, so we'll check out that next week. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of Toon Talk Weekly. Hope everybody had a safe and happy holiday. Thank you for joining us on the show. We'll be back next week with another cartoon.
Take care.
To learn more about the show, visit toontalkweekly.com or follow us on Twitter @ToonTalkWeekly.